Clem and welcome back to my channel. So honestly, I had no idea what I was going to film today because I don't have any imagination right now. But then I went on BookTube and I saw this very famous booktuber whose name I just forgot right now, but I will link her channel here or here, I don't know. And she did this video where she talks about the book she would like to be able to read for the first time. And I decided to do the same thing. So I have 5, 7, 8 books that I'm going to mention, and these are the books I wish I could reread for the first time. So the first book is My Lady Jane by the Lady Jennies, so Cynthia Hen, Jodie Meadows and Brodie Ashton. So this is the first book in the Lady Jane's trilogy. Lady Jennies trilogy, I always forgot. And basically this is the story of Lady Jane Grey. She was the queen who reigned the shortest in the British history, and they take this story and they twisted it. Like in this one, the monarch can actually change into animals, and that's basically the story of this queen and her superpower. So so why is this book on this list? I got this for my maybe 18th or 17th birthday. Or is it that old? Or maybe 20th birthday. It doesn't really matter. But I was super excited when I got it because it was one of my most anticipated release of that year. And honestly, it was such a good experience. I laughed a lot, and every chapter really surprised me. That's what I love with these authors, because they have a way to write, like the fact that they are free to write. You can't see it, or maybe I would have to analyze the book better, but it was like really super funny. I had a great time. And I always have a great time when I read their books. So yeah, I wish I could reread this book for the first time, just to be able to have a good laugh and to experience this concept for the first time. Also, I would love to be able to reread The Crooked Saint by Maggie Stivata. This book is really a huge surprise for me because it is among my favorite books. And I can't really explain why, because I don't recall that well the story, like I don't remember the characters. But when I think about this book, I remember that when I read it, I had such a great time, and it was really a whimsical read. Like I can't really understand what I read and what I was reading when I was reading it. But it was magical. I felt like I was in another world, like just in a dream state in a way. So this book by Maggie Stivata is about 3 members of the same family. I think they're cousin, and basically they live in the middle of a desert, and people come to them because it is said that they are saints and they can like cure any disease. So believers come to them to be cured and to have their wisdom. And it's basically the story of those 3 teenagers as they grew up in this family. One of them is said to be the saint, the one like that can do anything. And it's so weird because just the concept of the book is weird, but at the same time whimsical. That this book is completely an experience, and I wish I could reread this book for the first time because I loved the state I was in when I read this, and I don't think that if I reread this book I will feel the same way. Maybe because it's Maggie Stivata and most of the time I don't really understand what she's writing, but I wish I could reread it for the first time. Next we have Cinder, and actually the All Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, if that's her name, right? Yes. And because when I started reading this series, I knew from the beginning that it was going to be one hell of an adventure and that I was going to love it, and it's still now one of my favorite series of all time. I had so much fun when I read this because it's sassy and it's funny, the characters are well built, and I love the fact that it's a retelling of fairy tales set in the future. It is well done. I really loved everything that happened, and I love that in each book you're following a different girl, and I loved seeing the different threads of each story like coming together. Like in the second one you see Cinder and how Cinder is going to meet Scarlet, and then how they're going to meet Chris, and how other thing is going to impact Winter. So good, so good. I'm sorry, my camera broke. Amazing. So I was saying, I know I can reread them and still have a great time, but I will never be able to read this for the first time like not knowing what was going to happen, because when I read it, even though it's been a long time, I'm sure I will remember what will happen next, what this event is going to like how this event is going to impact the rest of the characters, and I know who dies, who lives, who ends up together. So it will never be the same, you see. Okay, and now we're arriving to a section I think everyone wants to reread for the first time. If you like those books, I think you want to reread, to experience it for the first time. So I decided to call them the classic. So the first one for me, actually it's really a classic because it's Pride and Prejudice by, I was going to say Jane Austen. And I think if you're here, you know why this book is here. You know it's part of who I am, part of my personality. The fact that I love Pride and Prejudice is part of who I am. So it's here, of course, because it's really one of my favorite books. And it's here because I wish I could reread the words of Jane Austen for the first time, be able to experience the angst between Lizzie and Darcy for the first time, just discovering this book and this story for the first time, even though when I first read it I had already seen the different movies and adaptations, so I knew everything I had to know about this book, but reading it was different, and I'm super sad that it's something I will never be able to do again. And so among the classic, I wish I could reread City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, and I'm sure you're going to watch this and telling me, come on, you have to stop with the Mortal Instruments, like it's over, it's so old, it wasn't a best series when you compare it with others, because I don't know, I feel like a lot of people don't like this series because maybe of the brother-sister things or other things, but it has a dear place in my heart. It will always be the books series that got me into reading, into booktube, into what I'm doing today and who I am today, because it's the first series we binge read with my best friends and we got obsessed over. Like, we couldn't stop talking about this all the time. And so just being able to reread this would, I don't know, bring back memories, even though if I reread for the first time, it mean I would have forgotten those memories. But experiencing this whole thing for the first time, like at the end of the second book, not knowing if Jace and Clary are really sisters and brothers. I mean, no, at the end of the first one. All of this, all the angst, all the cliffhangers, all the couples, all the deaths, like, I need to be able to read this series for the first time because it means a lot to me, and I think it would be fun actually to reread this in 2021. Actually, maybe I will not love it as much as I did, but it will be an interesting experience. So I wish I could do it. Another classic, Hunger Games by Susan Collins, and of course I'm not only talking about this one but the whole trilogy, except the fourth one, who was useless for me. But rereading this for the first time, I remember watching the movie and then asking to a friend to lend me the books, and I see myself reading them, not being able to stop, like crying my eyes out in the third one when Prim dies. All of those things, all the feelings I felt, I wish I could feel this for the first time, because The Hunger Games is a trilogy that I reread often. Like, sometimes I'm going to pick the second one and reread it. I know it by heart. I know everything about this book series, and the movies, I watch them also quite a lot sometimes. So I know everything that's going to happen, but imagine like rereading the second one, not knowing what the arena is, and when you understand that it's a clock. I remember I thought it was so freaking clever. I couldn't stop talking about it. I was so excited about everything, and just reliving the Peeta and Katniss love story. I miss my baby. Like, I miss the way I felt when I read this book. And I'm sure it's a book that if I reread them now for the first time, I would still love them because it's so freaking good. Of course, there is Hunger Game, there is Percy Jackson. This is just because it's so good. We can't deny that Rick Riordan is an amazing author and that the world building is amazing, the characters building is amazing. This book series, like not even just Percy Jackson but the others, even though Percy Jackson is my favorite one, they're amazing, they're well done, and it's so freaking funny. Come on, like I remember reading them and having such a great time, loving my characters. The only thing I don't want to go through again is the fact that you have to wait until the final books for Percy and Annabeth to kiss. This was long, super long, but yeah, experiencing this book series again would, I think, remind me of my childhood and my like early teenage years, because I read this when I was in middle school. I just wish like to be back in this for the first time. It was magical for me. I loved everything. I loved the characters, the event. It was, and I mean, I was already a sucker for mythology, but reading this made me an even more like fan of it. So thank you, Rick Riordan, for making me obsessed with Greek mythology my whole life. So yeah, I wish I could just read this word for the first time. Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to reread this French version. I want the beautiful English one. Okay, so if something happens to me, okay, tell someone that I want to reread the English one, not the French one. And finally, I mean, if I don't mention this book, I will not be honest with myself and with you if I didn't mention it, because it is Harry Potter, and of course, I'm just talking about Harry Potter and not about the person who wrote it. But imagine being able to experience Harry Potter for the first time. Imagine, like, I love watching videos of people who read Harry Potter for the first time, like now, because it's so enjoyable, and I love seeing them like not understanding what's happening, or I love seeing their reaction, their comments, like saying that some things are bullshit, and I love it. It makes me laugh a lot. So I would love to be able to do that, like now as an adult, be able to read Harry Potter just to see what I would think about it. Would I think it's magical? Would I be a huge fan of it? And I mean, if I reread them, I want to erase the movie also, because I want to be able to experience everything for the first time, going blind into this series. It would be fantastic, and I think a little bit a disaster. But imagine, it would be so fun to reread this for the first time. But it will never happen because I don't want to have amnesia. Okay, it would not be fun. But still, it's something I wish I could reread for the first time. So this is a small portion, I think, of the books I wish I could reread for the first time. I mean, it's the main ones, because I have some maybe more obscure reads I would like to reread for the first time, but they don't come to my mind now. And basically, I took the books on my bookshelves, but I'm sure there are other books I wish I could reread for the first time. So yeah, tell me in the comments down below what is your #1 books you would like to reread for the first time. I would love to know and see. Actually, would you like to be able to reread Harry Potter for the first time? I'm also intrigued in this one. Yeah, I don't know. I think it will be fun. Still, I'm going to stop talking, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone!